Hey everyone, it's Mace1370. Today we're going to do an RTA showcase for Straze. Before we get into it though, please make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Also, please see the video description below for a link to my Discord. So Straze has just been released. I was lucky enough and was able to pull him. It was technically pity, but I was already part of the way there. So I guess not lucky at all. So here's the build that we're going to use. He's mostly fully molded. I'm just missing this last one here. I'm probably just going to wait until he's Friendship 10 since you don't use Skill 1 very often. I did save up some gold transmits to get him to SM print. We'll definitely be taking him to Triple S. He seems like a pretty absurd unit. So our build here is basically full DPS and speed. We have just over 4k attack, 100% crit chance of course, and 286 crit damage, and 238 speed, and this is basically speed tuned to go along with my general purpose. So I'm having him on portrait for now just for pure damage. Not sure if that's the best choice yet, but I think, you know, more damage is always better when you're playing aggressively, and so it's certainly not a bad choice. I think also that you could build him with less damage. After seeing his performance in my RTA placement matches, his damage is completely absurd. So you could even succeed with lower damage stats than this if you wanted to add some bulk so he just doesn't, you know, insta-die, or if you wanted to speed him up maybe. You could also slow him down and give him a lot more bulk and more damage. I think there's options. I don't know how viable he will be as a bruiser, but for an aggressive unit, he certainly has a lot of promise, I think. The fact that, you know, he has all this defense penetration on his skill 3 means that he is basically always going to delete a tank. If he has attack buff, it happens with 100% certainty. If it doesn't, he still, I think, deletes a lot of tanks with this much damage. And that could be the benefit of an artifact like Portrait, is that you don't even need attack buff to, you know, delete like an FCC or a Crow or something along those lines. Also, his skill 2 here, ignoring effect resistance, is super huge. And is really game breaking, and you'll see in a couple matches that, you know, it comes in handy, and I even use it before the skill 3. Lastly, just important to note, you need about 2,333 attack over whatever your target is in order to get the full defense penetration. So whatever their highest hit point unit is, you have to have 2,333 more attack than it to get 100% defense pen. Most tanks run about 1,500 attack, so I think 4k is probably like the minimum you would want to have if you want to guarantee that 100% defense pen. Certainly for other units that have, you know, attack built in, you'd need a lot more to get that, but those units are not going to be as beefy, right? So I don't think that you need all the defense pen to kill them. You know, have to play around and see. So this is Straze, and I can quickly show you here the units that I'm going to pair him with. I have a General Purgus speed tuned to 260 so that he can take the first turn and give Straze attack buff. I can also pair F10 with them as an opener, you know, to force them to respond, and, you know, requires crowd control, things like that. Another attack buffer I have is Opsig, also speed tuned to be able to give Straze attack buff if I need, you know, that, if like GP is not an option, or if Opsig fits, you know, the particular draft situation. And then of course RB is also speed tuned, you know, to all three of those so that he can get attack buff from Opsig or from GP. So I hope you enjoy these matches. They were a blast to play. Straze is super fun. Okay, so for these games I'm going to be pre-banning Fallen Cecilia. I want to be able to take GP and T-Time Tenebria early, and FCC kind of shuts down T-Time to a degree since her shields prevent you from stripping the immunity buff on, you know, your enemy team, and it makes it, you know, harder to get away with a T-Time early pick. I take GP first here. He's really flexible. If my opponent responds in a way that makes it difficult for me to go with the cleave team I'm planning on drafting, GP fits into a lot of other bruiser teams, for example, and so it's easy to flex into those instead. So I like taking GP first here. T-Time is banned. I would normally take her in this position. DJB and Operator Sigrid as early picks is kind of weird. I'm not really used to seeing this. It almost made me wonder if these are both built as openers, so both really fast, since Operator Sigrid just got buffed, you know, to scale off speed for her damage, so maybe people are experimenting using her quickly as an opener. I have RB here. I want to secure him since I don't want to have to take answers to RB. It is a little early to take him, although I might have just taken him third here if I took tea time. It gives my opponent the opportunity to take units like ML Haste and stuff like that, but I think it's still okay. It forces a response, and then I take Straze just as a neutral, damage dealer, and he's tuned to go behind GP, so I'm ready to blow things up. The opponent takes blue Kisei here, so this is potentially a speed threat. I still have 2 slots left of my own, so I can take 2 speed picks here to try and secure first turn. So I take Acid. At the very least, I could just delete a Kisei, and then I take Falconer Clury just as another speed threat. I should probably gear up like Pavel or something. It would fit better in an aggressive draft like this. But for now, I just have Clury, so I'm just going to use her. The opponent ends with Maid and Elfelt. So Elfelt also probably a speed threat, and I suspect likely the highest speed unit on the team here, so I'm going to ban her. I'm not super worried about Maid Chloe. I can snipe out the Kisei pretty quickly either way, so I'm not too concerned about that. The big concern here would be Operator Sigrid cutting my team, and going before them. But my entire team has immunity, so if she skill 3 to push everyone back, I think GP would kind of counter that pushback, so that would be okay. But my Straze is super squishy, so I think the Operator Sigrid could probably just one-shot him, and then that would probably be, good game for me. So we go into the Kisei there and take her out, and then we go with GP, and we are able to stun the Operator Sigrid, which is really huge for us. I think if Operator Sigrid had gone there and had killed Straze, that likely would have been game. RB potentially could have done enough damage to counteract this, but we'd have to kill through Maid Chloe revive, which would, I think, be a little bit tough. We do have Acid also, so I think we were still in a spot to win if he killed Straze. Either way, we stun the Sigrid. The opponent puts off revive buff and brings back Kisei, so I was probably going to skill 3 here, but now I just decide I'm going to skill 2, since this is going to strip off the attack buff and the revive buff from, at least the revive buff from everyone here. So it also ignores ER, I guess, if he has more attack, but there it looked like Basar resist. No, Basar got stripped also. Still learning the interactions with Straze, but completely wiped out the team there and secured the win. Okay, so this is a pretty cool game. Here we have an RB pre-ban from the opponent. I ban Fallen Cecilia again because I want to set up that tea time combo. The opponent does have first pick, and they take Blue Crow, so this is a perfect opportunity to get aggressive with Straze and delete a tank. So we're going to take General Purgus to secure the attack buff, and then we'll take Tea Time. Tea Time is strong here because she's a speed threat all by herself, since she's all the way up to 286, and I think she's tanky enough to survive something like Acid. So the opponent needs some sort of speed threat to deal with her. Additionally, she demands a cleanse from the opponent if he leaves her in. So the opponent takes a Tywin, presumably for that cleanse, and then Basar. I don't think a Tywin enough is alone to counter Tea Time, since he only cleanses one thing, and the more important reverse provoke is still put onto people. But it's kind of a piece of a puzzle. If you take other things with him, like GP Rwanda or something like that, I think it can work. So here we take Straze. I'm planning on either banning the Basar or taking units that can disable it turn 1, so he can't do his thing. And Straze, I think, would be really powerful here because he'll just completely delete the Grau, in addition to doing a lot of other damage. And here I decided to take Inferno Kawazu for a couple reasons. One, in the event that Tywin, stays in the draft, or the opponent uses some other AoE, I'm going to be able to cleanse with Inferno Kawazu and boost up to the front and delete something, so that'll be pretty cool. I would normally probably just take Arby here, but Arby's banned, so we take Inferno Kawazu. The opponent takes T-Cern into Kawazu, so I don't think they understand how Kawazu's works with her. I think that was a really bad pick because Kawazu's S3 can just totally delete T-Cern. So the last debut video I did with Kawazu was kind of a letdown because I feel like he didn't really perform or do very much. I've gotten a better sense of how to use him now, and I think scenarios like this is where he shines. I think he works best on an aggressive team, preferably with an attack buffer. So here I'm banning Basar, and the reason I'm doing that is because I have 2 answers to Kisei. I have Tea-Time and I have Acid. So if the opponent bans Tea-Time, then I delete Kisei with Acid. If the reverse happens, then Kisei gets controlled by Tea-Time. So I don't have to worry about Kisei. I'm getting turn 1, and that means I'm going to get my combo off. So luckily here we did land the reverse provoke on Kisei. We're faster than her anyways. So I'm looking, T-Surin I think gets like a 30% boost up. So I cannot afford, I think, to skill 3 with GP here, since it would let T-Surin go, and if she gabs, she would delete Straze, and that would be really bad news for me. So I'm going to have to rip skill 3 with Straze here with no attack buff. But that's okay because Straze is OP. So this is no attack buff, 38k damage to Crow. That's a dead Crow. And did quite a bit of damage to the rest of the team as well. So here is the Gab, but now our Straze has invincibility, so now Kawazu pushes up in response. I make a mistake here. I should Soulburn Kawazu and attack Taiwan once to help reset his passive cooldown, Kawazu's I mean, and then do the skill 3 into T-Surin, but instead I just skill 3. I think the game's over anyway, so it doesn't matter, but it would have been better to Soulburn there and hit Taiwan once. The reason being that if Taiwan broke out of control and skill 3'd, I would have the passive of Kawazu, available again. But, we win this one pretty handily, so it doesn't end up mattering. Okay, so that was a really quick Straze showcase. We got to see him do huge damage without attack buff. With attack buff, he does even more. It's like 48k or something absurd. So I think, that shows that these are really nice damage numbers to have, but you obviously don't need him to have this much. So this is a very exciting unit. I'm curious how you guys are going to build him. Also, if you plan on using him for any, crazy hunt one-shot teams. I'm seeing, ideas floating around for like 2-man Banshee teams and stuff like that with Straze. So, please comment below if you're able to pull him and how you plan on building him. Otherwise, that'll be it for now. Later.